Assalamu alaikum. Barcelona 2, Villarreal nil. And let's just start off by talking about a bunch of things, right? So, first and foremost, this was the last game, at least for me, that I'm going to watch because I don't know if I'm going to watch any other games. I usually watch only Barcelona, Real Madrid games. In the Premier League, I watch Man City, Man United, here and there, Chelsea, because the schedule is really off. But for me, in terms of La Liga, this might be the last match that I watch for the year. And honestly, like I said, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised with what or how Barcelona performed. Not surprised how Villarreal performed because look, Villarreal, we knew this team coming up against Barcelona. We knew Villarreal were still not going to be the favorites. I mean, come on, it's Barcelona, and you would be a fool if you were to bet. And I'm not saying to bet. Do not bet. I don't bet. But if you were to bet, 100% is going to go on Barcelona, right? Even though, in my opinion, this was not the best Barcelona game that I've seen, and their performance was not even that good. And I don't even want to blame Pedri because I feel like the midfield was not the main issue. I think it's the way their finishing was, and especially their defense. Villarreal, to be honest, the way they began the game and the way they were, giving glimpse of threats, I felt like Villarreal were going to score before that red card, and we are going to talk about that red card. The way Barcelona got their goals, for example, it was not the smartest way. It was not a good way of a team goal, you would say, because obviously the first one was a penalty, and it is a deserved penalty. I feel like he should have not went for that late challenge, but at the same time, I saw him pull his leg back in. So people were saying that's not a pen, but in my opinion, it is a pen because the player did not stick his leg back in before Raphinha made the contact, so it is a pen, and I think it was a stupid pen to do, or a stupid foul to commit, if you would say. And yeah, that Lamine Yamal second goal, honestly, it was a mistake by Villarreal. They didn't know how to clear the ball. They couldn't land their feet or their foot on the ball. So Barcelona deserved it. They capitalized, and honestly, they deserved this win. But the red card, in my opinion, was a little iffy because, in my opinion, if that is a red card, because it could go both ways. It's either a red card or a yellow card. Now, I see it being both ways, but the reason why everybody's been complaining about La Liga refs is because of the inconsistent calls depending on the club and depending on the players who got fouled. Like, for example, there's multiple times where we saw Vinicius Jr. get fouled, a hard foul on Mbappe. I'm sure you guys remembered, even last season. But it was not called red card. It was not even a booking. So honestly, I'm just mad at the inconsistent calls made by referees in La Liga more than this being a red card, because even though I've seen harsher fouls, I don't think that this was a red card compared to those. But if this is a red card, then there are definitely a lot, and I'm saying a lot of times that we've seen worse fouls being committed and it was not a red card. And even against Raphinha, we've seen, I think a couple matches ago, we saw Raphinha commit a wild foul and he didn't even get booked for that. So honestly, I mean, I think he got a yellow, but it should have been a red. Everybody's been calling it, but that's what I've been saying. Like, the inconsistency with the refs and everything has been really bothering me, and I hope that there's a solution for that. There's a whole scandal about the case and, Perez being heavily involved with the case, and there's also the referee speaking against Real Madrid. So there's a whole bunch of, controversy going around, but I do hope that the sport returns to the way it was. I hope it gets better. I hope officiating gets better because, people have been saying it for even the past couple of years. It has not been the best. It has not been accurate. It has not been consistent. So that is something that I'm looking forward to. But other than that, let's go straight into the match because there's a lot of things to go over. Now, about the momentum, honestly, we could tell Barcelona dominated the ball possession. Even when they had the 11 players, Barcelona still dominated. They had all the momentum. They were trying to find ways and ways and ways to try to cut their defense, to try to be creative. And I like that. I told you, that's something that I adore about Barcelona's style, is the way that they try to be creative with their attacks, the way that they're moving fast, the way that they're letting the players, the team they're playing against, play to their tempo. They're the ones controlling the tempo, and Barcelona did good in terms of that, right? They were missing Pedri, but still they had the tempo. I don't think midfield was a huge problem. They had Eric who's playing, and he's been doing good defensively in my opinion, but compared to having Pedri, where Pedri is much better obviously offensively, was a huge miss. But like I said, this game I didn't see midfield as the main issue. I just saw finishing and their defense where, it was a little shaky, that high line. And honestly, like I said, I think everybody, this is the foot mob, the way they rate it. I think everybody gets a boost up, whoever wins. And look, listen, Lamine Yamal was dropping defenders left and right. He was doing very good this game. In the beginning, in the first half, he was getting locked down. But after when the Villarreal went down to 10 men, Lamine, that's where he kind of popped off. That's where kind of the left side was a little too weak, and Lamine Yamal capitalized on that. Raphinha, obviously, he was explosive, but, other than the penalty, he really didn't do much. Like I said, though, I still adore Raphinha's pressing. I love the way that he puts pressure on the players, on the team, and making sure that they don't have time to think. That's why this is something that we're missing in Real Madrid, is a player like Raphinha. We don't have a player like that who's a true leader in terms of leading at least the attackers in pressing, leading them into playing smart, playing as a team. De Jong did a nice assist where all the players were kind of smudged into the penalty box, and De Jong, honestly, it surprised me how calm he was to find Lamine Yamal to finish that shot. So shout out to De Jong. The defense, honestly, I wouldn't rate anybody. I don't think anybody there was good, if I'm being honest. I think Eric was a better defender compared to the entire defensive lineup, in my opinion. Juan Garcia, magical, amazing goalie, and I hope no injuries happen to him. I hope that he stays healthy, because he's a young goalie that Barcelona, honestly, they stole. They kind of stole a really great goalie, and I hope he's just going to keep going up from here, right? I believe he's really young. I think he is, how old is he? He is 24, yeah. 24, right? My age. So he's very young. But yeah, honestly, Villarreal, I just think that they were obviously they had a lot of pressure on them by Barcelona. They couldn't finish their chances. They were going up against Juan Garcia, who was saving these shots. And honestly, they were not really that creative, right? But something that Villarreal does compared to us is that they play aggressive, and that is something that we don't have. We don't play aggressive, right? We all know. You guys can go watch Faisal, go watch Dave, go watch anybody who talks about Real Madrid, even ESPN. They say we play slow, we attack slow. And Villarreal against Barcelona, this team that puts pressure on them, they were playing fast. They were trying to find ways into attacking, and they were attacking quick. They were losing ball possession easily, but they were still making it past their halfway line very quickly and getting to the box very quickly, even though they got caught with offsides and all that. I think Villarreal did put up a good fight, and the fact that they only conceded one through, they couldn't really clear the ball, right? They only conceded one goal when they went down to 10 men, and that's props to them, right? They lost a defender, and I think he is the best defender compared to all of them, maybe the second best. But nonetheless, they only conceded one, and it was through a mistake. It was not they got outclassed in a way. It was just they couldn't clear the ball. That was literally it. And then Lamine Yamal was just there wide open, took a little touch on it, and then finished it to the far right. And they were up 2-0. And ever since then, there was really no answers to that. I think there was only 2 threats that Villarreal did. But other than that, there was really nothing. And now we go into this break. Barcelona is clear by 4 points, which is not that far, and anything could happen. We still have a lot of games to play. Villarreal is 4th place, so I guess it's a good thing that they didn't win, because I think if they did win, they would have climbed up to 3. But, on our tail is Atletico Madrid, so it's a good thing that I guess Barcelona did win this game. And we're pretty clear from Atletico Madrid, but, anything could happen. We have not been the best in the past 5 games. I do hope that this next year we improve a lot. And there's still a lot of things that I do want to talk about, but I'm going to save it for the next video, including Vinicius Jr. changing his profile, the Bernabeu booing Vinicius, the way we perform, the way we've been performing so far this season. I'm going to make a whole video on that, and kind of a break recap, you could say, and talk about my talking points and all that, So make sure you do subscribe, because if you do subscribe, you're not going to miss out on none of that. I am going to try to break it down very concise. I'm gonna make it very coherent. I don't want to make it very detailed to the point where it's just me spitting numbers and facts. I just want to make it a broad thing where everybody can just see it by the points that I'm making. So yeah, honestly, Barcelona played well, and look, even though that this team, this is something that I did want to mention before I end this video, is going to be very short, but something that I did want to mention about this Barcelona team is that, look, we could tell this was not the same Barcelona that we know in the couple of games, right, where they outclassed these players, but the way they got their goals, right? It was not the way Barcelona gets their goals. We could admit that. This game, Barcelona was not good. But something Barcelona could do is that even though they have bad games, they know how to catch the win. And for us, whether we have a good game or a bad game, we still, I want to say good game or bad game, but I would say even though we win games, we still struggle. And if we lose games, we struggle, obviously. But Barcelona, whether they struggle or whether they win, you guys can tell that they are still going to get that result. And this game, I've been saying it, proves that. It proved that Barcelona does not need to be their best in order to win the game. They were not their best, but they still won the game. For us, we have to be our best, and I mean like our players healthy. We have our starting lineup. We have our good formation. Every player is in a good mood. Everybody's playing together. That's the way we get a win. But with Barcelona, even though they're not in the best shape and they were missing probably their best player, we still knew that Barcelona was going to win. And you guys can see they still dominated the momentum. They had the ball possession, better expected goals, took more shots. Like you see what I'm trying to say? The huge difference between Real Madrid and Barcelona as of right now is that we are not confident when we see Real Madrid play. But seeing Barcelona play, like I was confident that they were going to win. I'm a Real Madrid fan. You guys can see it on my microphone. You guys can see my channel already. You guys can tell by the name Riyal, Roots. We really struggle whether we win, whether we lose, and that is something that Real Madrid has to change, because that is the narrative we're going with, is that we struggle whether we win, whether we lose. Barcelona, whether they struggle or whether they don't, they're still going to get a good result, right? And I'm speaking generally, obviously. There's moments where Barcelona lost, which they only lost twice so far in La Liga, which is to us and Sevilla, and we beat them and Sevilla. But that doesn't mean anything because Barcelona is still ahead of us. So let's not get too ahead of ourselves. People want to, Real Madrid fans wants to go back and forth with Barcelona fans, but we have to be realistic. We have to set our standards up high because people forget that we're Real Madrid. All right. And I'm not trying to sound cocky, but come on. Like, we know the standards. Like, even Barcelona, their standard is not the way they play today. Everybody could admit that. Everybody has standards. Every club has standards. For example, Manchester United, you see how low their standard dropped. Like, we're talking about Manchester United, and you're telling me that their standard is that low to just get a win and then be hyped that they're in the top 5? Come on. We know. We know the standards, and let's just be realistic. But let me know what you guys think about this video. Not even this video. Let me know what you think about this game as well. What do you think? How do you rate Barcelona's performance? How do you rate the players? Who do you think your man of the match is? I believe Lamine Yamal won it, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, let me know what you think. Drop in the comments below. Once again, thank you for 200 subscribers. And let's hope to hit 300. Make sure you do subscribe. A lot of you guys are not subscribed. And it's free, right? Just subscribe. You don't even have to have my notifications on if you don't want. Just subscribe. It's free. And leave a like if you did enjoy this video. Thank you very much. And until then, Assalamu alaikum.